Okay. Wow. Finally. Yay. Blessed be. Thank you, Goddess. Literally, this is the first time, guys, that I've been able to get on my 2-in-1 and do a live stream. I told you, I was not joking when I say things be witchy crazy. Yeah, that's pretty that's pretty much an everyday thing for me anymore. Um, anyway, so welcome. Hope some people can come and hang out for a bit. Day 17, the magic check. In the magical universe, there are no coincidences and there are no accidents. Nothing happens unless someone wills it to happen. When you direct gratitude's magical power toward any negative condition, a new condition is created, eliminating the old condition. That means that when you get yourself to the place where you feel grateful for money more than you feel a lack of money, a new condition is created, eliminating the lack of money and magically replacing it with more money. All bad feelings about money push money away from you and reduce the amount of money in your life. And every time you feel bad about money, you reduce it a little more. If you have feelings about money like envy, disappointment, worry, or fear, you cannot receive more. The law of attraction says that like attracts like. So if you feel disappointed that you don't have enough money, you will receive more disappointing circumstances of not having enough money. Just checking my candles over here, make sure they're behaving. If you are worried about money, you will receive more worrying situations about money. If you feel fearful about the state of your money, then you must receive more situations that will continue to make you fearful about money. However difficult it may be, you have to ignore your current situation and any lack of money you may currently be experiencing. And gratitude is the guaranteed way for you to do that. You can't be grateful for money and disappointed about money at the same time. You can't be thinking grateful thoughts about money and have worried thoughts about money at the same time. Nor can you be grateful for money and have fearful thoughts about money at the same time. When you're grateful for money, not only do you stop the negative thoughts and feelings that push away from you, you're doing the very thing that brings more money to you. You have already practiced gratitude for the money you have received and continue to receive. So, before you use gratitude's magical power for the money you want, you need to understand the various ways and avenues that money or riches could come into your life. Because if you're not grateful each time your riches or money increase, you will stop the abundance from flowing to you. Money can come to you through receiving an unexpected check. Yes, please. An increase in salary, a lottery win. Yes, that'd be nice. A tax refund or an unanticipated gift of money from someone. That would be good too. Your money can also increase when somebody else spontaneously picks up the tab for coffee, lunch, or dinner. When you're about to purchase an item and you discover it has been discounted, when there's a money back offer on a purchase, or when someone gives you a gift of something you needed to buy, the end result of every one of these circumstances is that you have more money. So, whenever a situation arises, ask yourself, does this circumstance mean that I have more money? Because if it does, you need to be very grateful for the money you're receiving through that circumstance. If you tell a friend you're about to buy an item and the friend offers to lend or give you the very item because they don't use it, or if you're planning to travel and you hear about a discounted special that you end up taking, or if your lending institution lowers their interest rate, or a service provider offers you a far better package, your money magically increased through the saving of money. Are you getting the idea of the unlimited situations where you can receive money? Most likely, you've experienced some of these situations in the past, and whether you realize it or not, at the time they occurred because you attracted them. But when gratitude is your way of life, you attract magical situations all the time. I'm a testimony to that. It's very true. But the trick is you got to keep doing it. They occurred because you attracted them. But when gratitude is your way of life, You attract magical situations all the time. Many people call it good luck, but it's not luck at all. It's universal law. Water. Any circumstance that results in you having more money or receiving something that costs money is a result of your gratitude. You'll feel great joy in knowing that you did it. And when you combine your joy with your gratitude, you have a real magnetic force that will keep attracting more and more abundance. When I arrived in the United States several years ago, I arrived with 2 suitcases. I worked in a bare bones apartment with my computer on my lap. I didn't have a car, and so I mostly walked everywhere. But I was grateful for everything. I was grateful to be in the United States. I was grateful for the work I was doing. I was grateful for the bare bones apartment with its 4 plates, 4 knives, 4 forks, and 4 spoons. I was grateful that I could walk to most places. And I was grateful that there was a taxi stand right across the street. Then something incredible happened. A person I knew decided to gift to me a driver and a car for a few months. Cool, way to go. Other than my computer, I was living with the most basic material things to survive. And then suddenly I had my own personal driver and car. I was grateful, so I was given more. And that is exactly how the magic happens with gratitude. Today's magical practice for the money you want to receive has brought astounding results to many people. At the end of this practice, you will find a blank magic check from the gratitude bank of the universe, and you are going to write out that magic check to yourself, fill in the amount of money you want to receive, along with your name and today's date. Choose a specific amount of money for one thing you really want, because you will be able to feel more gratitude for the money when you know what you're going to spend the money on. Money is a means to what you want, but it's not the end result. So if you just thought about money per se, you wouldn't be able to feel as much gratitude. When you imagine getting the things you really want or doing the things you really want to do, you will feel far more gratitude than if you were just being grateful for money. You can photocopy or scan the magic check from the book. You can also get an abundance of blank magic checks from www.thesecret.tv/magic check. I'm definitely going to look into that myself. If you want, you can start with a smaller amount on your first magic check. And after you receive the smaller amount, you can keep increasing the amounts on your next checks. The benefit of starting with a smaller amount is that when you magically receive it, you will know that you did it. You will know absolutely that the magic of gratitude worked, and the gratitude and joy you feel will make bigger amounts believable to you. Once you have filled in the details of the magic check, hold the check in your hands and think about the specific thing you want the money for. Get a picture in your mind and visualize yourself actually using the money to get the very thing that you want, and put as much excitement and gratitude into it as you can. Maybe you want the money for a new pair of shoes, a computer, or a new bed. So picture yourself actually buying what you want in a store. If you would purchase what you want online, then picture yourself receiving the delivery, so you feel excitement and gratitude. You might want the money to travel overseas or for your child's college education, so imagine buying your airplane ticket or opening a college bank account, and feel as happy and grateful as if you've really received it. After you've completed these steps, take the magic check with you today or put it in a place where you will see it often. On at least 2 more occasions during the day today, take the magic check in your hands, picture yourself actually using the money for what you wanted, and feel as grateful and excited as you can, as though you really you as though you are really doing it. If you want, you can do it more times in the day. As with any other magical practice, you can't do it too often. At the end of today, either keep your magic check where you had it or put it in another prominent place where you will see it daily. You could put it on your bathroom mirror, your refrigerator underneath your magic rock, in your car or wallet, or on the background of your computer. Anytime you see your magic check, feel as though you've received the money and be grateful that now you can have or do what you want. When you have received the money on your magic check, or if you receive the item you wanted to spend the money on in another magical way, replace the check with a new amount for something else that you really want, and continue with the magic check practice as long as you want. Magic practice number 17. Number 1, count your blessings. Make a list of 10 blessings. Write why you're grateful. Reread your list, and at the end of each blessing, say thank you, thank you, thank you, and feel as grateful for that blessing as you can. Fill in your magic check with the amount of money you want to receive, along with your name and today's date. Hold your magic check in your hands and imagine purchasing the specific thing you want the money for. Feel as happy and grateful as you can that you have received it. Number 4, take the magic check with you today or put it in a place where you will see it often. On at least 2 more occasions, take the check in your hands, picture yourself using the money for what you want, and feel as grateful as though you were really doing it. Number 5, at the end of today, keep your magic check in a prominent place where you will see it daily. When you have received the money on your check, or if you receive the item you wanted to spend the money on, replace the check with a new amount for something else you want, and repeat steps 2 through 4. Number 6, just before you go to sleep tonight, hold your magic rock in one hand and say the magic words, thank you, thank you, thank you, or just thank you once for the best thing that happened during the day. Next up, the magical to-do list, and that will be day 18. And I will get around to that as soon as I can. But this is a perfect example of what it means, for me at least, to be a blue phoenix. For the longest time in myths and whatnot, the phoenix was always depicted as the colors of fire, right? Primary reds, yellows, and stuff. Orange, blue, but like Fox in Harry Potter. And then as I grew in my magical ability and know-how, I discovered that there's all kinds of different colors of phoenixes, and they stand for different things. They each have a different purpose. So for me, being a blue phoenix, how I determine that is I have very fiery emotion. I can be very passionate about something, but at times, like, too passionate or overmuch, or, acting like a kid in a candy store when everything was a penny and you had $20 in your pocket. Um, I really like knowing the things that I do, and learning it over time, because you can't learn magic and everything about it in, like one ceremony, one ritual. I need to put this somewhere where I just need to keep an eye on it, because I don't want it to, like I said, I'm worried about these candles. I don't want them to get down too far in the holes, or I won't be able to get them out. And then if I keep letting them burn, they're liable to crack, because even though this is ceramic, doesn't mean it can't crack. Magic for me is connecting with the energy that's all around us all the time anyway. It's just a matter of perception. You have to be open enough and you have to be not afraid. Oh, that's witchcraft. Oh, that's Satanism. No, it's not. Wicca and Satanism do not go hand in hand, okay? If somebody claims to be a Wiccan, and I've said this a million times, and it's true, if someone claims to be a Wiccan, yet they want to do abusive stuff, they want to do violent stuff, they want to do unethical, unmoral, don't do it, okay? Just don't. When I first got involved with Coven Moon Dance, I was 24, I believe. How I found out about it was there used to be this occult shop on High Street called Bell Book and Candle. But this would have been back in, I'm guessing probably the 90s or something, because my son Michael, my oldest, that's now like well in his 30s, he was still in a stroller. Okay, to give you an idea. Yeah, he could walk, he was a toddler and stuff, but now, when you're that little, those little legs get tired, and yeah, sometimes you get like stupid amounts of energy that seem to just like come out of absolutely nowhere. And you're like, oh boy, look, mommy, I can fly. No, you can't, son. When I first got involved with Coven Moon Dance, they lived in an area that I live fairly close to right now. It's just up James Road, and I don't know the name of the apartment complex. I just know that when you're going that way on James Road or whatever, like, okay, let's say when you're going south on James Road, you'll see it on the left. And it's usually about, maybe 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 tops minutes down the road. You look over, you'll see a set of apartments. I think there's only like 4, 5, 6, something like that. The very end apartment, the very first one you see when you're going south and you look to the left and see it, that was the high priest of Coven Moon Dance. That was where he lived and resided at the time. That was where I went to meet everybody. And how I found out about the available position in Coven Moon Dance, or just a coven, was through the witch that owned Bell Book and Candle. She said, well, because at that point, I figured I was wise enough and educated enough magically, because I taught myself. I remember the witch of the shop telling me that she knew a group of people, and she said the coven was, I think she said the name of the coven, or maybe she didn't. I can't remember. It's been too long. She told me, because I told her, I said, I'm looking for a high priestess position, in a coven, but I don't know anybody, because at the time I didn't, I honestly didn't. And I certainly didn't know any witches. I didn't even know anybody open-minded enough that could guide me in the right direction, but she was a witch. So I thought, okay, why not? But so she gave me the name of this guy that was the high priest of this coven. I was like, okay. And she said, they're all about your age group, I think, and so on and so forth. They've come into the shop before. So it's like, okay, thanks, appreciate it. But I do have to say, and I don't know, if I doubt that she would even remember me, or that she will ever see any of these YouTube videos. I would love to run into her again just to see how she's doing. She was a real pretty redhead, I remember. I think she was a natural redhead, because she had that beautiful, cute little freckled face. I could be remembering someone else. But anyway, she was pretty, and I was so crushing on her, it wasn't even funny. But, you can't just walk in and assume that a witch is one way or the other. You got to get to know them first. You got to get familiar, see if there's friendship material there, or if you should just nah, be civil when you're in there, be cool, maybe talk witchy talk, but don't don't make assumptions because you could get yourself in a lot of trouble. I never told her my feelings or anything, but I developed a bad habit that I forget like how long she was allowing me to do this before she asked me to stop. But she tried to do it gently, and I really appreciate that because when she brought it to my attention, I was like, oh yeah, I guess yeah, that's not good. Okay, I would go in there with my son Michael in his stroller, and I would just hang out. That's a place of business. It's a witch shop. That's not okay unless the shop is designed that way, where they have like furniture and stuff you can sit down and chill and read and do whatever, as long as you're quiet and all that. Keep the negative energies balanced with your positive. Have some good crystals with you that help you with positive energy. Make it a pleasant experience for everybody. But it is a place of business, and it is it's not a place to hang out. So when she finally told me one day, and she's like, Janet, she said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings here, and I'm sorry if this does, but you can't hang out here. I do have a business to run. People are starting to talk, and it was like it was manifesting negativity towards her, which I did not mean to do. I didn't even realize or think I was doing anything wrong. Um, but like I said, when she brought it to my attention, I remember thinking, I am so sorry. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. And the only time I'll come in here is if I'm coming in to make a purchase or something. So she, I appreciate that she was gentle. And I just wanted to tell her I'm sorry that I did that and didn't even realize what I was doing, simply because more than likely I was under a great amount of duress at the time. Not that that means it's her responsibility or anybody else's really to calm me down or anything like that. No. And it's not like her and I became like besties or anything of the sort. But at the time, she was like at least one of the only occult shops near me that was owned by a witch. And, I just thought she was the coolest person ever. So when I stopped hanging out there, I kept my word, out of respect for her and everything. I only went in there as a customer, and I would go in there to stock up on things if I couldn't get to any other shops. Because at the time I was living on Republic Avenue too. And, so a lot of times I would just either, I can't remember if I caught the bus down or if that was back one bad one. Can't talk. Back when I had my Chevy Malibu 4-door 1988, I think it was. And it was a real pretty aquamarine color. Oh my God. Anyway, long story short, um, I meant no harm in that situation. Uh, I myself have always wanted my own occult shop, my own witch shop, but I don't want to be competition with any other witches either, because around here where we are, even if I manage to get like the building I would love to have is right across the street, and I have some history with that building. It's south of me, um, and it used to be like one section of it used to be a vape shop. And this is literally the only vape shop that I ever got to work at. And it was so cool. I had so much fun there. Um, I'll never forget it. Met some cool people. And that was a place to hang out. Like they had nice furniture in there and magazines. And in the back, you had to show your ID and everything. But in the back, like the front part was strictly the vape shop. You go through a door, but you show your ID at a window and prove that you're old enough and everything. They had like a little casino, a little miniature casino back there where you could play, different slot games and stuff like that, where you could actually win money and all that. But, obviously they can't just let anybody in there. They have to be of legal age, right? So, what is this from Capital One? See your latest review from CreditWise. No, thank you. I'm busy. This building that I speak of is right across the street from me. Like I said, it's south of me. And So I forget, like, when you're doing stuff like this, you got to think of the reverse, you know, direction and stuff. So me going like this is south to me. Behind me is north. To the left of me is east, and to the right of me is west. Okay. So I'm getting random again. Sorry guys. Like I said, this is it's crazy. So just bear with me. But um I only went back to the casino part, I think, a couple of times. And I actually did win some money one time, but I think it was only like 45 bucks. And I wish I would have stopped when ahead of time, because at least I would have had 45 bucks in my pocket. But like a dumbass, I kept playing. And well, we know how that goes. They want you to keep playing, because if you keep playing, they're making money. But there's no guarantee that you ever will. And the unfairness of it all, yeah, I really don't like either. But okay, I'm going to go to, because uh, I was so focused on this, I didn't even.
Throw the best birthday party ever that your child
Don't worry,
will
that's
always
just
talk about. Big Air Trampoline Park inside Fieldhouse USA at the Polaris Mall can do just that. Award-winning birthday party packages start at just $300.
This is just like a little advertisement thing.
Drinks, a party room with a party host, grip socks, printed invitations, and all 40 attractions at Big Air Trampoline Park. It's a birthday party you and your kids will never forget. Book your party today. Big Air Columbus, where the fun never ends. Visit BigAirUSA.com/Columbus for details.
There we go. Okay. I had to change my room because the room I was in, I couldn't get my cat to come back. So I was like, you know what? I've been on this ship long enough. I've been on my ship. I'm going to go to one of my other rooms. But anyway, so trying to wrap this up. But before I get even more random, let me think a minute. Okay, so Coven Moon Dance was literally the very first coven that I was ever made a member of. Don't remember what my initiation involved, but it's kind of one of those, not everybody wants to be initiated. It depends on the coven, it depends on the people, it depends on the high priest and high priestess. Like when I joined Coven Moon Dance, it was this guy and his girlfriend. And I remember his girlfriend was really cool. And her and I got along really well. But at some point later, I don't remember how long into the future, but her and the high priest broke up. And he literally like kicked her out. And I don't know what happened. And I hated to see her go because she was really cool people. So over time, people just started breaking up. Like it started with the high priest and his girl. Then it filtered down to some of the other older coven members that had been there the longest. It was like, this was literally, I'm talking the very first night I set foot in this apartment. I remember it had a decent sized little living room, you could do ritual in it and stuff. And then there was a little doorway, and then you could walk through it. There was the basement door. You walk further back, there's the kitchen. And I believe there was a back door out of this place. But anyway, so I'm here. It's basically a meet and greet. I don't remember if we actually did a ceremony that night or a ritual. But anyway, me and this one guy, Dave, hooked up. And we ended up having a child together. But sadly, that is my child, David, that is no longer with us. Well, he's deceased, but his spirit hangs out quite a bit with me. Maybe even all the time, and I just don't realize it, And I try to remember to say to my son, I'm sorry, David, if it seems like I've forgotten that you're around or anything like that. But I get so distracted and so overwhelmed a lot of times that I'm like, what am I doing? What I have to stop myself and remember, what am I doing? But at one point, or at some point, rather, apparently Coven Moon Dance completely disbanded except for one. Me. I stopped going. I stopped associating with them because, like I said, everybody broke up and kind of went their separate ways. And there was an incident that happened there that I will just say involves abuse. And my son Michael, who was 4 at the time, not a good thing. Once I was made aware of that, then I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not coming back here. I lost a lot of valuable stuff there because some mental guy, sadly, mental handicapped guy didn't know what he was doing. And he was extremely dangerous. And he lived like a door or two down from the apartment that I was in. He got in somehow and set the high priest's kitchen on fire. And some of it spread to the front room. I think they was able to contain it quickly enough, but this guy was Fruit Loop in the cornflakes. And I'm not saying that to be insulting because it's very sad that happens to people, but it's also a very real condition too. Okay, my horse is moving. Hang on. I want to make sure. Okay. Every few minutes or so, I have to feed her and stuff. Okay. Yeah, let me do this. Sorry, I just, I get in my music moods sometimes, and it's kind of nice. Come on, Cleek, if you're coming up. Come on. It's kind of nice to, not just have dead quiet all the time, but at the same time, there may be people out there that they're like, you're probably saying, hey, can you shut it off? It's too much. Besides, I need to take a break and make sure I'm not killing my battery. So I'm probably going to get off of the Avakin game here soon anyway. But, here, let me check my battery, see where it's at. Okay, it is, 60%. Yeah, that's enough for the night, But what I do, because I have so many rooms and a lot of times I get free time, like right now, I have plenty of free time. Chris is in the hospital again. This time they're saying he has fluid around the heart, and I didn't understand what that meant, so I looked it up. Well, it turns out that it is, it can be brought on by like certain factors and stuff that happen to the person. Where did I put that? Did I put it back in the, hang on, let me see if I can find it again. I think I keep it in my purse here because it's kind of a reminder to help me. Like if somebody asks, oh, wow, what's up? I'm sorry to hear about your other half and going through such a tough time right now. So I went on Google and I punched in the search window, what is the condition that involves water around the heart? What's it called? It says fluid around the heart is called pericardial effusion, EFFUSION. It's an abnormal accumulation of fluid in the pericardial sac, the thin membrane that surrounds the heart. Pericardial effusion can be caused by a variety of factors, including infection, inflammation, heart surgery, cancer, and autoimmune disorder. In most cases, pericardial effusion is a harmless condition. However, if it accumulates too much, it can put pressure on the heart and prevent it from pumping properly. This can lead to a life-threatening condition called cardiac tamponade. Okay. When I read that, I think like my first reaction was, oh, wow, Chris is every one of those factors listed. He's every one of those things has happened to him. And it's his left lung apparently is sustaining. It's not sustaining, but it seems to be the target area that is always getting slammed with infections. All too often, when Chris took the chemo and the radiation to get rid of the lung cancer, okay, he pretty much really messed himself up when he did that. I was, 100% supportive. I tried to go with him like to every doctor appointment that I could. In that sense, it's been a long, arduous journey, and just full of ups and downs and just all kinds of stuff. So, um, but anyway, in conclusion about the whole magic thing, I've always been drawn to it. It comes natural to me. I'm a natural witch. I don't even need a book. I can just do my own stuff, but I have plenty of books, trust me. It's been like a lifetime of accumulation because I came into my power, as you know, those of you that have been with me the longest, and you've already seen that live stream. And I know I've told the story more than once. It's like one of my favorite witchy Halloween stories that is a very true story, and it happened to me. So I like to tell it once in a while in the spirit of Halloween. And let's face it, it's right around the corner, right? So it was Samhain or Samhain or whatever, Samhain of 1982 or 83, because it was my 13th year of life. So I had 13 birthdays up to this point. It was midnight on Halloween. My sister was not home. I think she was working late or something at the time. I knew where she kept her candles, even though she almost never used them, because she has she's, let's just say, I feel like and always have felt like I come from a long line of witches in the family, all the way back to my mom's mom, who was literally the living Ace Ventura. Anyway, so I went down and I only borrowed one candle. I don't remember if she noticed it missing or not, but it was a big pillar candle. It was bright orange. I had two little tea tables that my mom had given me, that used to be hers, and I absolutely fell in love with them. And when she didn't need them or want them anymore, she gave them to me. One was yellow, one was white. The yellow one, I don't even remember how long I had it before finally I lost it. I've never found a table like it. I would love to find those tables again, especially in those colors. The white one was on top of the yellow. I put the pillar candle in the center of the table, turned out the lights in my bedroom because that was one of the few times I actually had a decent sized bedroom. And I loved it. But the creepy thing was, but it was also kind of witchy cool, was the closet in my bedroom. There was a hole in the ceiling, and it went up to the attic. But that was like literally the only access point to the attic because we were living in a house at the time that this happened over on Hartford. We lived at 87 South Hartford. And I dressed all in black conical hat included, black heels, black skirt, black blouse or shirt that I found. I lit the candle. I shut the lights out. I don't remember what everybody else in the house was doing, but I didn't care. I felt the pull. Okay. I felt the pull to do it. So I was like, okay. So, because remember, by this time I had read quite a few magic books, and my favorite thing was when all the way back to the very first magic book I ever picked up, and I found spells in it and stuff, I would take notes and I would write them down. And if I had all of those going all the way back to the very first one, man, I would have one heck of a book of shadows. Sorry, my creases in my leg here's itching and under my stomach, but from sweat, and stuff. But anyway, so I was facing south at the time. Wait, no, I was facing east. Yeah, I was facing east. I put my little tea tables right next to my bed. I had a little book of matches, and I lit the candle, and I just started staring into the flame. I had no fear, no creeped out feelings, nothing negative at all. It felt right, is the best way to describe it. And I did protective circle, and all that to make sure I wasn't like opening myself to some negative spirits that may have been around. Because there was an old man that actually died in that house. He died in the dining room. And funny enough, no offense to him, my sister ended up using that little section of what was our dining room and turned it into a bedroom for her. And they took a metal rod, they stapled it to the side of the steps, and then they stapled it to the wall, and they did it really high. And then they took literally a shower curtain. I remember it was a blue plastic shower curtain, and that was her cover. And then, it was maybe 2 shower curtains, because you could like pull it open in the middle. And when you went up the steps, once you got up to a certain step, you could literally look down into my sister's bedroom, which of course I made sure I never did when I knew she had man company, because they might be doing the naughty, if you know what I mean. And I was not gonna, see that. I would have been embarrassed. I would have felt like, oh my God, I'm traumatized for life, because I was just a kid. I mean, I was a teenager. I wasn't thinking about that stuff, And, it was my way of trying to kind of give her privacy. But what would have been the ultimate to do that is to take a little tapestry of some type and fasten it over the gap, and made sure that it wasn't material that you could see through easily, but also make sure it was something that she would like and something she would enjoy, because she's a Sagittarius. Her birthday's December 15th, 1958. So her and I was born in 69. So we're like 10 years apart. And she also shares a birthday with my Uncle Jackie, who was my last uncle that recently passed. And I just want to kind of give a shout out to him and say, Uncle Jackie, if you find your way to me, you're absolutely welcome. You, Bernard, and Dunk, Grandma, Grandpa, just all I ask is, don't bring negative energy here, because I go through enough as it is. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I went into a trance, and something came over me. It wasn't a possession. It was more like my right hand, because I'm right-handed, my right hand just felt like this was the right thing to do. So I grabbed a book of matches and I lit a match, and then I would throw it into the flame. That made the flame bigger. I would do the same thing and repeat. I had that flame probably every bit about this tall or taller, about this wide. And here's the fun thing, and not so fun, all equally terrifying. Quick thinking, I, stopped a horrible accident from happening, but I got the flame so big, and I, was able to like literally pass my hand like this slow through the flame, and it didn't burn me like at all. I was the flame. And I was like, okay, that made no sense to me, because I'm a Capricorn. I was born in winter. Why all this fire around me? What's up? And I don't remember. It's like my mind was blank, but I felt like there was a tube coming through the ceiling attached to my head. This is what I saw in the astral realm. And it was the connection being formed, and it was the universe giving me my power, because it is very well known and commonly known, for those of us old witches here, the ancient ones, that a lot of girls would come into their power when they were 13. Well, I was one of them. So I'm sitting there, I'm in this deep trance. I remember, was it before or after the fire that I ended up looking at the windows? Anyway, I'll explain in a minute. I was so deeply entranced that I was like, it's hard to describe. It was such a peaceful feeling, though. I felt so protected. Everything felt right. I felt loved. I knew I was safe. I did everything right, and I was really proud of myself. All of a sudden, I heard drip, drip. I'm like, it shook me out of my trance. I'm like, what the heck is that? Drip. So I looked on the little tea table, the yellow one underneath, and I saw this liquid dripping down. I'm like, what the? Picked up the white table. It was on fire. Like, the candle was gone, guys. And there was a freaking hole in the center of that table about that big around. I kid you not. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to blow this out. I put it back down on the table, the other table, ran down the other end of the hall, grabbed myself a glass of water, ran back to my bedroom, and doused the flame. It was the only way to put it out. You are not blowing this out. Okay. Literally the table was on fire. And I was like, that was too close. So once I got that, I soaked my bed, I soaked that whole area, but it'll dry. I'm not going to die tonight. I'm not trying to burn my room down. Oh, wouldn't that be great? You come into your power and then you're done. It's like, what? That ain't fair. So anyway, yeah, that's always been my most fun Halloween story. And that was when I came into my power. It was when I was 13. And it was the Halloween of my 13th year. And it just kind of went from there. And I don't remember if it was, I can't remember if it was, it was the place we moved to after Hartford, because I forget what happened, but we couldn't stay there anymore. There wasn't enough money. The rent was too high. I don't even remember. And the house was old too. So it may have been one of those, it may have become like too unstable and therefore unsafe for like any family to live in. So we had to move. And then we ended up moving to West Town Street, 536 West Town Street, as a matter of fact. And yes, it's still there. I believe it was there that I bought my first, was it 2 books of witchcraft or more? I know there was at least 2. The 2 that stick out in my mind is the Modern Witches Spellbook 1, which has a purple, yellow, and black cover. The letters are yellow, I think. And then Charms, Spells, and Formulas. Because once I came into my power and then we moved shortly after, or I don't even know how long it was that we moved to the new place after I came into my power. But anyway, by the time we got to the new place, that's when the inner knowing really started, like kicking in for me. Like, you can't always explain how you just know. And people look at you like, huh? But then it happens to them and they're like, oh, okay, I see. It's kind of funny, but anyway, so that's what the books that I started with. And I will never forget the very first spell that I cast out of that book was to bring back a lost love. And it was a guy that I dated that happens to be the father of my firstborn. His name was Gary. He was 6'3". He was drop dead gorgeous. I fell in love immediately. That was a cute story too. It's a romantic one. But anyway, don't want to get too off topic. Long and short of it is, we ended up having Michael far into the future. Like, I was 21 when Michael was born. So, and me and Gary were really close in age too. I remember we were like 2 or 3 years apart or something. It wasn't very much. And he was an Aquarius. As far as I know, he's still around. I hope he's happy. I hope he has a nice family, and he's got a good wife, and he's just happy, happy and in love, like we all want to be, right? Or at least a lot of us anyway. But I guess I reasoned that if I'm going to do this, I gotta start somewhere, right? So, being the smarty butt that I can be sometimes, but for a good reason, highly intelligent, yeah, magically inclined, yeah, along those lines. I knew it's like, okay, I figure something like Charms, Spells, and Formulas is a good way to start, right? And then I had the Modern Witches Spellbook 1. Well, then I forget how much later or how many years passed before I ended up getting Modern Witches Spellbook 2. So I actually got both. I literally met the author, Dorothy Morrison, in 2005 at a witch's ball. And that was like the last witch's ball that I would call a witch's ball that I ever recall going to. And that was a fun time. I met a lot of cool people and all that. So, but anyway, yeah, I met Dorothy Morrison. I've got a signed photograph of her and everything. And I was like, wow. So, that was a big deal for me. And, so it just kind of went on from there. I started playing with the 2 books that I had, or 3 books, whatever it was. And I remember the Charm, Spells, and Formulas had like rituals in it and ceremonies you could do where you could learn how to make puppets, where, you cut out the little shape and then you form it and then you fill it with herbs, you fill it with different things depending on what you're trying to draw to you. Like for love, you would do something like rose petals and, red colors and, colors and symbols that remind you of love, like a little metal heart or something you could put in there, or just, be creative with it, have fun with it. But anyway, so that was where it really took off for me, from the time I came into my power and every place we lived after that, all the way up to me moving out when I was 18. And it's the only time I got to live in German Village. And man, it was only for a year, maybe, it was amazing. I really loved it. And I wish I could find my way back to that apartment again and see if it was available. And if it was, I would snatch that bitch up so quick. But I got to wait until my postcard business starts coming through for me. And I'm also working on the whole secret books thing and trying to keep the positive, draw it to you by feeling like you already have it, feeling the feelings and emotions you would feel when you receive it, kind of thing, like you've already got it, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I can't expect to perfect it overnight. Nobody can. And I, so far I think I'm doing okay. Have I made mistakes along the way? Sure. Have I done spells and things that I wish I didn't? Yeah, absolutely. Did I learn harsh lessons? Uh-huh. Yep. But I grew from it too. And as you learn and grow and you accept, okay, yeah, that was bad. That was pretty stupid. But look how far I've come. Look where I am now. Let's focus on that, So yeah, but the blue phoenix thing, I rationalized that it was fitting for me because of my deep emotional, fiery emotion. Like when I'm happy, I'm really, really happy. When I'm sad, you don't want to be around me because I don't want to bring anyone else down, like they say, and they're not joking when they do, depression hurts. And it is a very real illness. It is not fun, to deal with. And especially when you grow up with a condition like that, it can make it tough for you in school and can equally make it tough for you. There was still water in the bottom of this thing. I'm like, why did it shut off then? It's because this thing's tiny, so you can't really put a lot in it anyway. It's a little humidifier thing that I got from Temu, and it's a free gift. And it's just a tiny little thing. There's a button on the front here, and it's meant to, like, that one is meant to, it looks like fire, like it's actually burning, but then you hit it again and the flames change colors. And it's just a little humidifier. I try to keep going right next to me because I never thought I would be one of the ones that would end up developing a condition like nosebleeds until it happened. And I remember it happened to my niece Chelsea one time when she was up here. Man, I miss those days, I really do. I miss those days. There was a time when my nieces and nephews would, especially Philip and Chelsea, they just love coming to my place and hanging out and having a good time and just, had a safe place, to be, and with family, and stuff. And I got to meet some cool people that way. And, I really miss that. I mean, I remember one time there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was like half a dozen or more of us in this tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And we kind of turned the bedroom into a multi-bedroom because everybody kind of slept in there. Like I remember my son Michael slept on the floor in a sleeping bag. And of course his baby sister, my daughter, Zephyr, had to sleep with him in the sleeping bag, which I thought was cute. I mean, that was precious. But anyway, so fun times, that I'll always remember, that I wish would come again, And I actually heard from somebody today that I never thought I would hear from again. And I'll just say his initials, JC, simply because I don't know where we stand, and I don't know yet that I'm comfortable, maybe possibly giving it another go and, allowing him back into my life and being a friend, like I once was. And because, I mean, he used to be like one of my kids. He was one of the friends that my son Michael made when we lived in Marysville. And I mean, we had a lot of good times. We had a lot of fun. But sadly, my daughter ended up crushing on this guy really bad, but she was always too young to date him. And she would like kind of tease him, be half joking, half serious. Well, she was like serious. She just tried to make it look like she was joking. But JC knew better because he knew it's like, don't you even, I'll fucking kill you. She is young. She is not, I don't want to, I don't want her coming to me and say, Mom, I lost my, what, I lost my cherry. And it's like, oh, no, 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 no. You're too young. Why? Who do I got to kill? I'm kidding. Who do I got to bitch at and say, what the hell were you thinking? But anyway, him and his brothers, at least one of them came over here from time to time. And then the third brother, I believe his name started with an S, and he never was among the pack, but there was a brief time when I had both of the brothers together. I had JC and his brother, and then the one that wasn't there was, I don't know even where he was living at the time. But, it was a lot of good times. It was a lot of fun. It meant a lot to me that they followed me here from Marysville. Man, we had some good times in my trailer too. We would have some like cool like teen hangout things, and just like watch movies. A lot of times my kids would be playing their video games, and it's like, yeah, okay, and I would try to watch it and enjoy it and just soak up all the happy and all the loving energy all around. That those were like some of the best times of my life, literally. So JC reaches out to me apparently recently, and as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I knew immediately who it was. I'm like, uh-oh. Oh no, here we go again. Do I want to do this? Because he really hurt my daughter. Him and this girl that he ended up with, and they were kind of an off and on thing for I don't even know how long. And her name I will not speak because I am still infuriated with her, because she really hurt my daughter too. And JC knew how Zephyr felt about him. And he tried to keep her, let her down gently, I'm sure, at least to a point that, I'm sorry, Alicia, but, you're just too young, sweetie. I look on you as a sister. I don't see you that way, and I'm sure that was hard for my daughter to take, but at the time, I don't think that he meant it to be hurtful. He was just trying to let her down as gently as he could. But anyway, this girl that he ended up with used to be my daughter's best friend and lived in the same complex that my daughter lived with her dad, her bio dad, Adam, at the time. That girl, she was scary because she was like literally obsessed with my daughter. And she would do creepy shit like call my daughter on the phone, and then when my daughter answered, she's like, hey, and then her friend said, hey, want to hang out? And then I forget, like, Alicia wasn't always wanting to hang out. But this girl, I'm on your porch. So it's like she had already decided that even if Alicia said no, she was still going to force her to let her in to hang out and whatever. The last time I saw JC, him and this girl were together, and I, Goddess and God forgive me for saying this, but I believe in being real. I wanted to unalive them. both. I was so infuriated by what they had done to my daughter and the way they did it. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. You guys have no idea how hard it was for me to not go dark side on those two. And I remember chanting in my head all the way home, because me and Chris were on a bus, and because sometimes we would go see Zephyr at her work at the job she was working at the time, because it was somewhere you could get to by the bus, and we knew how to do it. So that was before we had a car. And we tried not to do it too often, though, because we didn't want to get her in trouble, and get her fired or something, because the parents are coming over too much and like treating it like a hangout, and it's not. It's a place of business. We were riding home on the bus one night from spending some time with her, and excuse me, I kept chanting over and over and over again, I want them unalived. I want them unalived now. And I mean, I was like, I did not like the depth, degree, and severity of my dark side that I was at that moment. And I was that way all the way home. And trust me, because of where my daughter worked at the time, it was a pretty long bus ride, because I think we would have to get off somewhere downtown, and then we would have to transfer to a different bus so we could get the rest of the way home. When my daughter finally told me what they had done to her and that those two had gotten together, I was like, what? And then I very quickly realized, oh, that explains a lot. Yeah. So I tried to go easy on my daughter. I didn't want to make her feel worse than she already did because of what these two did to her. And I'm still fuming from that. So JC will be very, very lucky if I ever decide to give him another chance. I even let his mom stay here, and she started hitting on Chris. And I was like, oh, no, you don't. She tried to steal an ink pen that he had gotten specially for me. And I only had the one at the time. And I know it was mine because I put a ring around it with nail polish. It was a light pink Parker pen, gel pen. So it had like the little tubes that you would have to buy, like 2-pack of ink cartridges, and you would put one in it, and then when that one ran out, you'd put the other one. I could not believe that JC would ever stoop so low, and this girl as they did, and hurt my daughter the way they did. And I was like, no, not you, please. Why? Explain. This is not okay. This is not right. Zephyr did not deserve this. What the hell are you doing? What are you thinking? Oh, wait, never mind. You're not thinking. You're thinking between your legs. Because to be honest, I think that was all that JC and this girl really had, was they were naughty buddies. Let's just say that. And there was no relationship there. And I don't like how angry I was that I was actually chanting in my head all the way home that I wanted them unalived now. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Don't remember how I brought myself out of it, but where there's a will, there's a way. And I knew I had to, because it's like, Janet, if you give into this and you keep doing this, you're going to get what you want, but what's going to be the price? What is going to be the price? Always, always, always ask yourself that question before you ever cast a spell or do a ritual or a ceremony, magical of any sort. There's some dangerous forces out there, guys. Don't play with stuff and think that, oh, I can do this, I can handle this. What if you can't? This is not a good thing. I speak from experience. Don't do it. What's wrong with you? But There has only been, let me think, 2 significant times that I went to the degree of dark that I'm speaking of. There was one other time, the only time that I literally hexed somebody that at the time was a friend of mine. And what was sad is she was a Capricorn like me. And we were like besties, like right away. I need to start trying to fit in once my money's flowing, and going, and I can keep gas in the car and this and that. I'm going to start going. I'm going to commit to the Wednesday night spiritualist group at the First Spiritualist Temple downtown, across from Grant Hospital. It's right on the corner, and Grant is over here. And if you keep going that way, you end up at the Grant Library. And they every Wednesday night at 6:30, they have a Bible study kind of thing. But it's Bible study / you get a reading / not always with cards, but like they'll do a meditation, they will do opening prayers, and it's an actual church. It's really nice. The first Saturday of every month, if you get an extra $20, go down and check out the psychic fair. You might see me there. You never know. You might sit down at my table and I might give you the reading of your lifetime, and you're going, huh? How do you know that? How do you do that? Long story, don't have the time, but see me after the event is over and everybody's going home. And if I'm not too exhausted and tired and I just want to go home, I will try to give you a brief idea of, well, long and short of it, I was born with it. It just took some time for the realization to kick in and the acknowledgement, like when I came into my power. And right now I am clergy. So I would not be a bit surprised if at some point in the future, very near future, even maybe, I don't know, I'll have to talk to Carol because she's still there. And she's like the original that was there all the way when I went there steady. Michael was baptized there, to give you an idea. But they just did the sprinkling of the holy water on the forehead. They didn't like dunk him in water. He probably would have screamed bloody murder. He was just a baby at the time, but I wanted him to be blessed there. I don't even know how many times after that, or like when he got to a certain age, if I had the privilege of taking him there and saying, this is where you were baptized, right there. And, but yeah, I want to start going to the Wednesday night group. Like every Wednesday night, I don't know, that might be pushing it a bit, but I will just leave it kind of open-ended and trust that the goddess will make sure, and the God and all my spirit family and the angels and everybody will see to it that I'll have gas, and I'll be able to go down, because I usually try to leave early. Like I'll leave my place here by 5, because the earlier you get down there, because the parking lot's not very big where you park. So you got to get down there quick. Otherwise, you're going to have to park at a meter or something. I've got to like respray the couch here because the freaking bugs are biting again, as usual. Little freaking bloodsuckers. So anyway, it's a fun place, and for $20 you get in. Sometimes they have, I haven't been there to a psychic fair in so long. I don't even know what it's like now. But one of these first Saturdays of the month, I'm definitely going to try to go. Maybe even like the first Saturday of October, but I'll have to mark it on my calendar and make sure that Chris and everybody that needs to know that maybe wants to go, I am going. Nothing is stopping me. Do not get any appointments that day or expect anything of me. Let me go to the fair. I already know that Carol is going to say, take a table. And if Nancy Pinyard was still here, she would definitely say, take a table, you're ready. And I would be like, oh, okay, because I know I am. I've done readings for people. Every time I do readings for people, they're like, that is spot on. And I don't even need the damn book, guys. I can just I can look at the card and focus on it and tell you what I feel, because I'm also an empath. Yay for me. Not so much. When you feel the good stuff, oh yeah, it's awesome. You're like on cloud 9. But when you feel the bad, sometimes it's really hard to climb out of. Oh, I never finished the Coven Moon Dance. One of my spirits just reminded me. Thank you. One of the main reasons why I walked away from Coven Moon Dance was I was never excommunicated. I was never kicked out. I was never told, don't, you're not a member anymore. But I just didn't think about it. I completely pushed it out of my mind because everybody left. Everybody moved away from each other. And the LH wasn't there anymore. That was the high priest. I'll only say his initials because this SOB and what he did to Michael is just unforgivable. Anyway, I was on my phone one day. This was probably a couple of months ago. I don't know. I've lost track already because I never thought in a million years that this person would reach out to me for any reason. Last I knew, he hated me. And it was Dave, the father of my child, David, that's no longer here. That my calculations are correct. And unless I find out differently from my son's spirit and can clarify that, yeah, that was the day he died. He had breathing issues and he was 29 or would have been 29, July 31st of whatever year it was. Cause I think it's probably already been a couple years. Time just flies anymore. But anyway, Dave Sr. reached out to me on, where was it? Messenger or one of those, I think. And he actually asked me and stated, you're the last remaining member of Coven Moon Dance. And then the little light bulb went off over my head. Ding, ding, ding. Wait, what? The goddess, apparently, because of the way things were done and because of the disrespect and therefore punishment that everybody in that coven ended up befell them. The Coven Moon Dance is mine. The goddess gave it to me. Because when Dave reached out to me, he said, I've got a magical problem and I would like your help. I'm sorry for the past. I'm sorry I hurt you. And, and I appreciated that. I greatly did. I really did. Because I never thought I would hear that from him either. And he said he was wanting help. He was wanting magical help. And I remember that after the text had said, if you answer, this person will be able to contact you from henceforth. And I thought about it. And I'm like, karma's got you, huh, Dave? You done got yourself in some kimchi and you're in trouble and you're coming to me. Why? But in his statement, when he said, and I read the words, you're the last remaining original member from Coven Moon Dance, my jaw dropped. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. And then I thought about it and I heard the goddess and I saw her standing near me clapping and just so happy and excited. You got it. You got it. Yes, it's yours. Go with it. Roll with it. Run with it. Make it your own. Okay. Now what? What exactly? Right now, I am still looking for new members. I'm always looking for new members, but this is something that would get into, I would have to be trusting enough of everybody. They would have to live in my area or be willing to travel to it. Cause I don't want them to have to travel too far to meet me, but if they're willing and the goddess helps me to feel it's safe, go ahead. This is right. You're well protected. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to go wrong. It's like, okay. There's only like a total of 3 of us right now, really, that I consider Coven Moon Dance. And that is my 2 female friends that live in the building here that are also witches that are like sisters to me, even though we're not blood sisters. We're not bio sisters or anything. One of them lives right next door to me, Christy. You've heard me talk about her before. Love her dearly. And the other one is downstairs on the left side on the main floor, and she's the back apartment, apartment C, and that's Normia. So I would love, absolutely love to have some more members. It's not, I don't know if, like what age group I'm comfortable with. Not that like 18 would be bad or anything. It depends on the circumstances and the person. Because this place is tiny, where we are right now. There's any of you that know me that have actually physically been here. Oh yeah. You're like, oh yeah, she's right. It is. It's like, these used to be offices before they became apartments for people to live in. So if anybody's interested, please find a way to leave me either a comment on my relaxation page on Facebook. You can look me up on Instagram. On Instagram, I am starfairy5069. And I believe on TikTok, I am starfairy5369. I still have both. I need to get on TikTok again and do another 10-minute thing or something. I don't know what I'm doing for Maybon. I need to get a hold of Brian Edwards, High Priest of Covenant of the Winding Road, and see when everybody is getting together and meeting for Maybon so that I can at least try to attend. And if we can time it right and they time it to where Christy and Norma can also go, Normia, then the 3 of us will go. The only drawback is if Chris is here and he's home, obviously he will be by then, hopefully, but am I really going to be able to enjoy myself? And keep my energies positive along with Christy and Normia, not over worrying about, oh, Chris will be fine, and I have my phone. I will put it on, mute or whatever, so it won't ring through unless it's Chris, or he can always text me if he's feeling up to it and he really needs us to come home, then we will. But I'm hoping that he will be well enough this time. I see him in perfect health, so he will be well enough that he will be able to be completely comfortable being here by himself. Because the health conditions that have befallen him because of his misspent youth, now he's paying the price. And so am I. And to me, that's just not fair, He snaps at me a lot. He yells at me. He criticizes me. He judges me. He makes me feel like some idiot child that don't know what the fuck I'm doing. He's unsupportive. Okay, that's where I stopped. I just remembered oh man, I don't even know where to. Tools of learning. What I was trying to figure out what to do next on here. Okay, study. Okay, tools of learning. But this, I don't know if this is. Oh, let's start with prayer. Let me see here. Wait a second. Is that okay? That's chapter 2. So yeah, this one is chapter 1. Okay. Just clarifying. All right. Okay. Tools of learning. Oh, damn. I lost my spot again. Nope. It's this page. I bet. Nope. Dang it. Prayer. Here we go. Okay. To keep the channel more interesting and try to keep it informative and educational for as many of us as I can, I will do random witchy stuff just to try to have good content, but don't expect me to just every single time go into a full-blown ritual or anything like that, because that ain't gonna happen. Prayer is another tool open to the Wiccan. When you're absolutely stuck, when the information can't be found in books, or when found confuses you, When you have a real need for assistance, ask for it. Prayer of this nature needn't be accompanied by lengthy ritual, particularly if you haven't yet determined your best ritual forms. You might accompany your prayer with the lighting of a candle or a walk in the woods or park. You may pray while petting your cat, staring into a fire, standing in a shower, or sinking into a tub. You might also use a popular tool of divination, such as tarot cards, a pendulum, rune stones, but use such tools following prayer, not before. The structure of the prayer isn't as important as the emotion that you place within it and the clarity of your request. You might direct it solely to the goddess or to both the goddess and the god. Express your need for this information or for guidance with the present situation, and thank them in advance for their assistance. True prayer is more than spoken words, for the devotee releases energy through the prayer to the goddess and god, because nature abhors a vacuum. An answer will appear. See Chapter 8 for more information regarding Wiccan prayer. This answer may take many forms. It can be something as simple as a voice suddenly saying, "I have much to teach you." Place 2 candles on the altar. Hold Sabbats at night after everyone is asleep, so do it as quietly and silently as you can. You need not initiate yourself at this time. Wine is fine, but apple cider or grape juice can also be used. Such direct communication with the goddess is possible because we can contain a spark of her divine fire within us. However, such direct communication is rather rare. More commonly, the messages may appear in symbolic form. A cloud may suggest a shape. The shape may suggest an answer. Cards or stones or the movement of a pendulum could give you answers. Prayers for information before going to sleep might be answered in dreams. Record all such important dreams, think about them, and determine if they're relevant to your question. During sleep, communication with the goddess and god is much easier, for the doubting conscious mind has been unchained and we operate in the subconscious or psychic mind. There are numerous other ways in which your prayer may be answered. You may suddenly find a book that contains the needed information, or come across an article in a Wiccan publication that's just arrived in the mail. Prayers are always answered, but not always in direct ways. Keep in mind, however, that the answers you receive may not be relevant for anyone but yourself. If the goddess has spoken to you, it is to you that she has spoken, not to all Wiccans. Her messages may have little or no meaning to others. If you've always been fascinated by semi-precious stones and she tells you to create a circle with them, this knowledge is correct for you, but may be completely incorrect for others. Divine revelations are usually of a personal, not global nature. Though knowledge received in this fashion certainly should be used, it doesn't invalidate the ways of other Wiccans. Though we may receive divine messages, no one can ever be the spokesperson for the goddess. Answers received in prayer deserve attention and thanks. Rites of thanks to the goddess and god can be found in Chapter 10. Don't discount prayer as a tool of information gathering. It seems ethereal, but when we consider its source, is this so surprising? Experimentation. So, you've read many books, thought about what you've read, and compiled information from a number of sources. You've filtered this knowledge through the sieve of your feelings, intuition, and have prayed to the deities for assistance. What's next? Putting the information into practice. Wicca is, after all, a living religion. Religions don't exist within theories and ritual plans. They come to life only when they're being practiced and lived. The outer forms, rituals, use of tools, are important because they symbolize non physical processes and remind us of what we're doing in Wicca in the first place. Begin to experiment with various ritual forms. Piece them together in various ways, discarding unsuccessful combinations and holding on to those that you find fulfilling. Questions such as, is this the right way? Am I doing it wrong? Should not be allowed to interfere with your creative process. Such questions will only delay your progress. The process of experimentation is necessary for determining all aspects of solitary Wicca. Everything from seasonal festivals to espits, power raising and sending techniques, magical rituals, the use and meaning of tools, self initiations, and every other exterior aspect of Wicca. I wish all this itching on my face would stop. This 4-step self-learning plan can certainly be of value in sharpening your Wiccan beliefs and practices. How important is reincarnation in your Wiccan practice? How far can the law, harm none, be taken? When's the best time to perform rituals? Do you have to hold a circle on every full moon and Sabbath? Can you do them at other times as well? Each of these questions can be answered through study, thought, prayer, and experimentation. A complete guide to creating your own solitary Wiccan tradition and writing your own Book of Shadows can be found in part 3 of this book. The information in that chapter should be useful if you decide to take this step. You may decide that none of this is necessary. You might find a set of rituals and follow them to the exclusion of any others. This too is fine. But when you have questions about these rituals, you may wish to use the process outlined in this chapter to discover the answers. The path of the solitary Wiccan can be difficult, but the school of trial and error is an excellent one. As your experience increases, so will your knowledge, and so too will your questions, which will lead to study, thought, prayer, and experimentation. Having access to all the answers isn't the goal of the solitary Wiccan. Finding the most important of those answers is, and we can find them by practicing our religion and through the use of these tools of learning. Okay, that was chapter 1 completed. This is Living Wicca by Scott Cunningham. There's also one that's called Family Wicca. Now, I haven't looked in my magic books, which a big part of them is down in one of the storage cages in our basement. But because of the limited space up here, I can't bring them back up. I do have enough up here certainly to do any number of things, but you never stop learning, not really. But I think I'm going to go ahead and end this one. My throat, as you can tell, is getting still like overuse here. Sorry I didn't do the Daily Goddess or any cards or anything this time, but maybe we'll do that next time. And if I find the book Family Wicca, or I might just go ahead and order it and put it on my wish list on Amazon or something, or see if I can get lucky enough to find it at Half Price Books on a day when I happen to have money in my pocket and I can just walk in, get it, and there it is. Okay, works for me. Blessed be. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.